Hey there, we're back with episode 3 of Peri and Menopause. And this round, we're going to talk about some self-care stuff and how we can use like our power stage in order to excel our daily lives, make us feel better. And then we're going to talk about the self-care stage, which is the luteal stage. And we're going to expand on that and maybe just offer in some of our own experiences and how you can, if you want to, you can use them in your own daily life. And you can also do some research that best suits who you are. So, Dr. B is going to chat about the power stage, which I think is fantastic. So, without further ado, and pass it
Yeah.
over.
Cool. I love this. I love this stage. And as I'm learning more and more about it, one, it makes so much sense. Like, how did I not know this when I was 15 and menstruating? But it's like, okay, so we should have a teenage class and just teach all the young human beings who are menstruating how these phases work and how to honor their body. Because you guys, it's not just peri and meno that like
Oh,
literally this information works for. So I'm really saddened that I didn't know this earlier in life, but I'm so grateful I know it now. So the power phase is really, so it's the follicular phase, which is day 1 to day 14. So day 1, you guys, is the day that you start bleeding. Okay. Even if your periods are erratic, and like I was saying in episode, I don't remember which episode it was, but I was like, one day it was 30, one month it was 30 days, and the next month it was 17. At the end of the day, day 1 is the first day you're bleeding. Okay. So hormone shift, right? You're now shedding the uterine lining. All of your hormones are going into the high time. This is when you have more power. Your body is tolerant of stress, and you should be like trying the new things. Let's say you've never done intermittent fasting, and that's something you want to try, and it's going to stress your body a little bit, or you've been fasting, but you want to do a longer fast. This would be the time to do that. Day 1 to day 14 in this power phase. Okay. So the body is more resilient. It's tolerant of that stress. If you want to try a new workout regimen, or you want to do 2 a day. So learning this information, I was wanting to do an additional private lesson for karate about a month ago. And I had reached out to the Shihan asking, what days she had available. And she gave me, a handful of them. And I looked and I was like, okay, this is the one that is offered to me in this day 1 to day 14. So I'm going to choose this one and I'm going to make it work, because not only am I doing this one-on-one hour, which is a lot of work, but then normal practice was literally the following hour. So it's going to be 2 hours of pretty hardcore, intense exercise. Had I done that, 5, 10 days later, I would have been like depleting myself, because my body would not have been as tolerant of stress. Okay. So just like, again, like being empowered with this information so we can make the best choices for us. Right. So in day 1 to day 14, that's where you want to, let's say you're a business owner, or you're in a position where you want to and need to achieve things. So let's say you're looking at like, okay, in day 1 to day 14, I'm going to add extra hours of work in that time frame, or I'm going to do things that I have to produce more energy to do. So a speaking engagement, maybe it's some filming, maybe it's things that, like, maybe you have more reach outs that you need to do, but there's like additional work. It's more energy expenditure. Maybe it's meetups, maybe it's creating, marketing things. So you're more creative. You have that energy to give and do and be. And so that's really that time. If you can manage that, right? Whereas in Kelly's going to get into more of that nurturing phase, you want to slow things down. You don't want that output to be as much. So if you can really focus on and look at your monthly calendar and say, okay, day 1 to day 14 is where I'm going to crank. And then it's almost like, yes, I've cranked. I've gotten the things done that I need to get done for work, for life, for momhood, for wifehood, for whateverhood. Okay. Then there's not as much shame and guilt in that latter phase, especially the last 7 days leading up to your period, where you can rest more and you're not stressing your body if you can help it. Um, and so really tuning into in this power phase too is like, the foods that you take in that are going to stress your body more, so alcohol, sugar, carbohydrates that aren't from nature, those things, if you're going to take those in, let's say you're going to have a dinner out and you're in the first 14 days, maybe you want to have the hamburger and the beer, go ahead and do that, right? But in that later phase, you're gonna opt out. You're gonna have something that's gonna serve you differently. So that's what I really,
So,
really love about this information.
yeah. And so, like hypothetically, if you wanted to start a new diet, or like you said,
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
new exercise regimen, this is when you would start to incorporate it, because,
Yeah.
and which is perfect because it takes your body 2 weeks anyway to get into the routine. So
Hmm.
then you can kind of, it won't be as impactful for the latter part of the 28 days,
Hmm.
right? In
Yeah,
terms of
totally.
stressor, in terms of
Hmm.
stressor. Yeah.
Totally. And you think about it, like so many aha moments went off when I started learning this information because I like, you know how many times I've started something and like it's like, yeah, you have that excitement for the first couple days and then you just fall off. And I'm like,
I know.
I wonder
We
how many of
probably
those
started
times.
it like mid time, right? And we're like,
Yes,
shit, where did
yes,
all our enthusiasm
yeah.
go?
Like,
Now we
cause then
know.
you're like, boop, right? But
Yeah. I
then the
had no
thing,
idea
oh,
either. This is
yes,
great
nor did
information.
I. And the thing with that too, off of that, is that then when you fail at whatever it was that you were attempting to like get up and running with, then
Yep.
there's the shame, there's the guilt, there's the like, you're
I'm
not good
no
enough. See, I
good.
told you,
Yep.
like, oh, the cycle of doom, right?
That's
Whereas
right.
if you start it in that first 14 days and you, like Kelly's saying, you get that momentum and you're cooking, sweet. Then you're in it, it's more habit. You're already like you're in it in that high time. You're
Yep.
probably more likely going to stick with it, right?
So is that the waxing moon phase? Would that be, or
Yeah, so
waning?
interestingly enough, I'm just learning about the moon comparison with that. So it would
Yeah.
be the buildup of. So and so day one of your cycle is the new moon. I know
Right.
that much. So what I don't know about the moon, because I haven't studied this, is before it goes into the new moon, is it waning or waxing?
So waning is when it's going down, right? Waxing is when we're shining. You remember in the Karate Kid, wax
Yeah.
on, wax
Oh
off.
yeah. Okay.
So waxing, so it's shiny and new,
Okay.
and wax off is waning,
Okay. So I
right?
still don't know how to articulate this, but day one of your period, the day you start bleeding, would be the new moon. So then
Right.
the build up would be
To
that
the
first 14
full
days.
moon would be waxing. So that would be waning.
So waning would be day one to day 14. Is that what I'm
Yeah.
hearing you say? Okay.
I'm going to confirm that in two
Yeah, I love it.
seconds.
Yeah, because
So,
I haven't studied that. So
yeah.
I'm not sure.
So waning of the moon have progressively smaller part of its visibility surface illuminated so that it appears to decrease in size. So the moon at any time after the full moon and before the new moon. So that's waning. So waxing would be the new moon going into the full moon. So my
Okay.
phase would be waning.
So now I'm questioning myself, you guys, if
Oh,
yeah, like this is a moment I can look because I took notes. But is it now I'm questioning, is day one the full moon or is day one the new moon?
so it says here, waning crescent moon is the perfect time to rest and regenerate, which is so that would be waning.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you're in the waxing phase. I
Okay.
just wanted to throw that in there because
Yeah.
just because we were talking about,
No, this is great.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is great.
So waxing means it's getting bigger, right? So there's more emphasis,
There you go.
more
Okay.
action,
That
more
makes sense.
power. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
So is day one then the new moon or is it the full moon? That's what I was just saying, right? So it's this idea of if I'm waxing, am I waxing after the full moon or am I waxing after the new moon? Can't
So
remember.
how can we word it? Is the
That's what I'm,
full moon,
yep.
is the full moon, what are we asking? Is the full moon
Is the full moon day one of the period or is the new moon day one of the period?
day one? Uno
Yeah,
momento.
we'll have it for you guys here.
This is
Because
live.
I was just listening to Dr. Mindy Pels with Mel Robbins, and right in the last like part of the podcast, this was like a couple days ago, I was listening to it. Somebody had asked the question, well, what if you're not menstruating, or what if your periods are so erratic? Like, maybe you're every 2 months or every 6 months because you haven't quite hit menopause, but you're in that phase, you're moving into that phase. And um, or you have birth control and you just don't know when it is. Then
Yep.
she was saying then to cycle with the moon cycle, but I'm now not remembering if day one
No,
is
it's you're right. So it's called the white moon. The new moon
okay.
is menstruation. It's
Okay.
menstruation.
Okay. So the
Yeah,
new moon is day one of your cycle. Thank you.
correct.
Thank
Yeah.
you for, okay. I'm glad we ironed that out so that I didn't like later be like, oh man, what information did we just share? Again, I am just learning this, you guys. I'm like diving in to all the resources here. And anyway, so there's that. Okay. So I'm going to pass it along because Kelly D is going to talk to us.
Just to add some more confusion to the
Yes.
situation.
No, I think we're good though. We ironed it out.
Yeah.
Day one's the new moon. We're good. Day one to day
Yeah.
14. Power, power, power. Do, do, do. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
Crank, crank, crank. Add.
That's,
Shift, shift, shift. All the fun things.
that's right.
And then we move into Kelly D's day 15 to day 28. Share with us.
Yes. And that's the luteal, right?
Yep,
Is that
yep.
how you
So
pronounce it? So
follicular is day 1 to 14. Luteal is 15 to
follicular
28. Yep,
and luteal. Yeah,
yep.
so 15 days. So this is when like we've had that impulse, like we've been creating, like Dr. B mentioned, some new momentum in our life, a new diet, maybe a new sleep pattern, whatever it is, a new project at our work,
Mm-hmm.
our own business. So then we're going to slip into that self-care, into that nurturing
Yeah.
stage, right? So this means things like doing some breath work, right? Getting into the more sensual side. You know how I always like to add that stuff in when we're doing our
And that's
podcast.
why we love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
So,
It's all about sensuality here.
so in that sensuality, it doesn't have to mean like sexuality in terms of intercourse and all that part. The sensuality is how we feel within ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
definitely focusing on that self-care.
Yeah.
So going, I'm saying exercise, but yoga, I'm passionate about yoga, but there's all kinds of yoga you can do. You can do yin, you can do the restorative, or you can just stretch, and you can have a sauna, you can
Neat
go for a swim, go
exercises.
for a walk. Yeah, that's right. Neat exercises. Exactly. You
Yeah.
can learn to do meditation if you want to,
Mm-hmm.
or you can just sit quietly however you want to and read a book, but be one with yourself. Focus
Mm-hmm.
on who you
Mm-hmm.
are, focus on your needs. If you want to have a piece of chocolate, have a piece of chocolate and a glass of wine. Have a bubble bath. Do whatever makes you feel good about your body, yourself, your own self-esteem, your own self-empowerment. That's what this phase is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as far
It's some
as I will
sexy
say,
lingerie.
lay in your lingerie while sipping
Lady
on
lingerie.
your drink and eating chocolate. I will say though, in that very late phase, so day 21 to day 28, or however long your period is, so it's in that very, very last like week before you start bleeding, is nature's carbs are best. So not taxing your system. So I actually would say if you're gonna have alcohol, have very little, or don't have alcohol. And then like your starchier carbs, you want to kick those to the curb if you can, and just do more of nature's carbs, so more fruits and vegetables that week, to just in order to not tax your system and stress it out. But
Yeah.
you still want to be in that sensuality of what feels good for you. And
Mm-hmm.
one trick I did was I put water in a wine glass, like this beautiful iridescent wine glass, and even a bubbly water, right? So it looks a little different, but and just would sip on that too to kind of help brain hack, if you will, so that it was
Yeah.
still this like, because a lot of that coffee in the morning, wine at night, a lot of those things are habit because they're kind of like an idea of what's happening in our lives. Like the coffee is like the
Yeah.
morning wake up and the smell, and right. And then that wine is kind of the wind down of the day and whatever. And so if we
Yeah.
can do little brain hacks in there, then that
Yeah. We're
supports us
disposed to
too.
that, aren't we? Like
Mm-hmm.
we're kind
Yeah.
of like not forced, but we're kind of like gently pushed into that
Yeah.
routine of I can have coffee in the morning and have a glass of wine at night, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be every night. It can only be the first 2 weeks of your
Right.
of your
Okay. So
cycle.
so my son and I are on a karate tournament team, and well, it said karate, but not everybody understands that. So karate tournament team,
Karate.
and so I'm in late luteal phase as of yesterday. So day 21 was yesterday for me, and day 28, you guys, is the day of the tournament, and I'm like, please start bleeding before that, so that at least
Is your gi
like
white?
my gi is white.
Of
And like we
course.
said on
What other
episode
color?
one, totally on episode one, Kelly talked about how in one of her experiences, she like was in the garden and she stood up and just like blood that happened to me in July. I was in Las Vegas for a conference and I had changed my Super Plus tampon every hour because we'd get a break about every hour. So I'd go in and change it and I was bleeding through it, right? So we go to lunch and we're sitting at lunch and I had just changed my tampon before we go to lunch. We're sitting at lunch. There's like 6 of us practitioners eating and we stand up to go back to the conference. And I was like, oh, thank the Lord that I was in black, like sweat kind of jogger pants and black underwear. But by the time we physically got back to it was about a half-mile walk, got back to the conference and I went into the bathroom. It was down my legs. Like I'm surprised my shoes didn't have blood all. I mean, it was literally like
Wild.
everywhere. And so I thankfully had not checked into my hotel yet because I had just
like you're like, did somebody get murdered here?
I told my husband if I had like I know obviously we're not pregnant. So had I thought we were pregnant, I would have thought something else was going on. But so I call one of my practitioner friends because my suitcase was in the conference because I had arrived that morning and hadn't checked into my hotel. And I'm like, I'm in the bathroom. Can you bring me my entire suitcase? Because I had to I was late getting back to it was like throw things out, like there
having a shower. Yeah, Jesus. I know, it's like, terrible.
That was kind of that moment where I was like, this is not okay. And I need to like figure this out because that was miserable. And then I was like,
that was a pivotal point.
Yeah.
For you. And that's when you were like, something's got to give. Like there's got to be information out here for me, right? So
and I dove in.
Everybody, if you're in that stage where this is happening and you're confused and you don't know how to get help, do your research. Like listen to some of the tidbits that we're talking about. Get those books. Maybe if you want to,
oh sure, I'm happy to do that.
Up.
So I'm really obsessed with Dr. Mindy Pell's. So she's got these 2 books. I've read this one and taken notes, and that's where a lot of today's information came from. I have not fully dove into this one. I haven't started the book, but she has a podcast with Mel Robbins that gets into all the intermittent fasting in the different phases. So you guys, amazing information. Her Instagram is incredible. So if you're an Instagrammer, I'm not, but I have watched a few of her videos on Instagram. I love her. She's really like bringing in that natural side of everything. And I love the way she empowers and articulates so that you can take it. It's digestible information that you can implement today. And in essence, it's a free tool, right?
And the Vagina Bible is good too.
Yeah. As Kelly had mentioned, the Vagina Bible being a great resource as well. So there's plenty. I say there's plenty. There's not plenty. There are great resources out there, you guys. And what I think Kelly D and I definitely come back to together on this is like, you're not alone. You're not alone. And we love talking about topics that are not commonly spoken about because like you guys, this is real life and these are seasons and we can empower each other and recognize that these conversations are legit to have and we are better for having them. So we're so grateful you guys are here and learning with us because we are learning as we go. So
and drop us a couple questions if there's any topic that you would like us to sort of talk about or delve more into this topic. Let us know and we can do a like an extra little whatever live something and then we can throw it on there because it'll be fun to interact and be able to provide more fun information. So until then, we will chat with you on our next episode, which we're in the mix of deciding what we're going to talk about. And so I hope you are well and stay self-empowered. Do your self-care, right? And just be the amazing person you are.
Yes. Love you guys. Thank you for being here. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.